What if the part of her that she tries to keep under control, the part that craves risk, mystery, and the thrill of crossing an invisible line, could be awakened by the way you move, the way you pause, the way you choose what not to say? What if the reason she keeps replaying you in her mind has nothing to do with your looks or your status, and everything to do with a precise rhythm you create when you speak to her values, challenge her certainty, and give her a safe taste of the edge? If you want her to think about you long after you've left the room, you don't need tricks. You need mastery of contrast, tension, and permission. You are about to learn how to create all three ethically and without overcomplication, using ideas backed by psychology, influence research, and time-tested seduction frameworks. Listen carefully, because a small shift in how you carry your frame can flip a switch in her nervous system, and once that switch is on, you live in her head rent-free. Start by accepting a truth most men resist. Desire thrives on tension, not certainty. Studies on reward prediction in the brain show that the highest dopamine spikes don't come from guaranteed wins, but from desirable outcomes with a hint of uncertainty. When everything is obvious, the mind goes to sleep. When there's a gap, the mind leans in. Your first mission is to design gaps, ethical gaps, calibrated gaps, gaps that invite her to come forward rather than retreat. This is not manipulation, it's choreography. You are allowing mystery to live where most men smother it with explanation. You do this with restraint in your words, economy in your compliments, and deliberate pacing in your attention. You let silence breathe. You reveal just enough, and then you stop. You allow curiosity to do the pursuit for you. To awaken what she keeps private, you need polarity without hostility. That means you do not imitate her energy. You anchor it. When she tests your edges with a playful jab or a skeptical look, your chest stays open, your breath stays deep, and your eyes soften instead of hardening. Pressure invites many men to explain themselves. Refusal to perform invites attraction. Your posture and presence communicate more than any line. A steady head tilt, a slow inhale through the nose, a slight smile that says, "I am not here to prove myself," and a relaxed stillness that tolerates pauses. These are the micro-behaviors that separate the forgettable from the unforgettable. The body broadcasts leadership before the mouth speaks. If your body rushes, your words beg. If your body slows, your words command. Understand that her forbidden side is not immoral. It is unexpressed. It lives in the space where she can safely let go of control because she trusts yours. This is where stoicism becomes a secret weapon. Stoicism is not emotional deadness. It is emotional leadership. You do not overreact to hooks. You absorb tension without transmitting it. You choose standards over neediness, direction over approval, and calm boundaries over frantic persuasion. The Stoic habit of pausing before reacting gives you the most seductive tool of all: timing. Desire does not happen in a rush. It happens in a rhythm. When you control rhythm, she feels a current. When she feels a current, she wants more. Now, create the first layer of the current with contrast. Contrast is the architecture of attention. Shift between warmth and challenge, closeness and a step back, focus and casual detachment, teasing and sincerity. The influence literature calls this discrepant confirmation. You confirm something about her, and then you introduce a surprising angle that invites her to expand. Most men either agree with everything or oppose everything. You do neither. You validate something that deserves validation, her taste, her perspective, her effort, and then you offer a bold take that opens a new door. That door is what she will keep thinking about. If she expresses a popular opinion, you can say, without arrogance, that you see the appeal, and then add a sharper, more original insight. The mind remembers the person who upgrades its ideas. Qualification is the next lever. Qualification means she earns your deeper attention by revealing qualities you actually value. This reverses the usual chase. When you qualify, you never grovel. You invite her to step into standards. Standards are the oxygen of attraction. Most men are allergic to silence and fill it with praise. You replace praise with curiosity that makes her show her values. Ask real questions that cannot be answered with a yes or a no. Ask what people consistently misread about her, and then listen without interrupting. Ask which challenge she chose voluntarily this year and why. Ask what she refuses to tolerate in herself now that she didn't notice 2 years ago. These questions are not small talk. They are permission scaffolds. Each answer gives you a thread to pull. When you pull with finesse, you are weaving intimacy out of her own words. Intimacy she built with you is intimacy she replays without you. Scarcity, done ethically, is attention discipline. Attention discipline means you do not give constant access. The brain habituates to continuous stimulation and amplifies intermittent rewards. If you are always available, you become ambient noise. If you are intelligently scarce, you become signal. Make your messages matter by saying less and showing more congruence. Congruence is alignment between your words and your life. Instead of telling her you are busy, actually be busy building the aspects of your life that fascinate you. She can feel the difference. A man posturing productivity talks about tasks. A man living his standards radiates quiet direction. Quiet direction is the gravity of masculine presence. It says, I know where I'm going, you're welcome to join, and if not, I keep moving. Ethics turn darkness into magnetism. Forbidden simply means few can handle it. You handle it by protecting boundaries and consent like treasure. You never use vulnerability against her. You never perform intimacy to get a reaction. You never escalate to relieve your own anxiety. You calibrate. Calibration is the art of adjusting intensity based on her feedback, words, tone, breath, pupils, posture. If she leans in, you reveal a degree more. If she hesitates, you slow the rhythm, not the backbone. The presence of your backbone, your non-negotiables, is the container in which her spontaneity can finally breathe. When she senses the container, her guard drops. When her guard drops, desire moves. Install the safe edge principle. The safe edge principle says, combine moral clarity with transgressive play. The moral clarity is simple. You state what you do and do not do. You keep your word. You refuse gossip. You normalize saying no, and you do it without apology. The transgressive play is where you tease, you challenge, and you flirt with lines in a way that invites her to co-author the pace. Do not confuse play with games. Games hide. Play reveals. In play, you reveal that you see her complexity, sweetness and fire, elegance and mischief, and that you enjoy both without reducing her to either. This dual recognition awakens a part of her that rarely feels understood. Once a woman feels seen in her duality, the person who saw it becomes her private obsession. Master the weapon of selective confession. Selective confession is not oversharing. It's revealing precise edges of your story that explain your standards. You can share one challenging lesson that shaped your boundaries. You can describe the principle you live by when you choose people. You can say what you will walk away from, even when it's tempting. Each selective confession is a frame anchor. It says, I am not random. I am guided. Guided men are rare. Rare is valuable. Valuable is remembered. Language is a scalpel when you use it with discipline. Replace filler with force. Cut maybe, kind of, and I guess. Replace them with I prefer, I choose, and I don't. When you compliment, make it precise and occasionally withheld. Precision makes a compliment feel earned. Withholding makes it feel scarce. If you like her wit, say exactly what made you laugh and then move on. If you appreciate her taste, pinpoint the detail and then change the subject. Do not stack compliments like coupons. Each one loses value when piled on. Give one strong, observational compliment and vanish into a new thread that challenges her mind. The contrast between appreciation and challenge is an amplifier of desire. Teasing works when it's calibrated to her strength, not her insecurity. Tease the fortress, not the wound. If you sense she's proud of a subtle quirk, play with it. If you sense she's sensitive about a perceived flaw, leave it alone. Harshness is cheap. Precision is art. The goal of teasing is not to dominate. It's to create a spark of oppositional play where both of you feel alive. The spark lasts in memory because it was co-created, not imposed. Men who confuse status games with flirtation never learn this. You will. You will because you are not here to collect attention. You are here to create electricity. Timing, again, is everything. Think in waves. Give a dose of attention, then withdraw into your centered life. Share a bold thought, then let silence metabolize it. Ask a piercing question, then actually listen to the answer without preparing your next performance. People are starved for presence. Presence is your rarest gift and the cheapest to fake. The difference between real and fake presence is your phone goes away, your eyes stay steady, your mind stops racing, and your breathing slows. A slow breath is a deep signal of comfort in your own skin. Comfort in your own skin is erotic. Erotic does not mean vulgar. It means alive. If you want to live in her head, give her unclosed loops. An unclosed loop is an idea you start and promise to revisit. It could be a challenge you issue and then defer. It could be a topic you both find captivating and then you pause at its peak, saying you'll pick it up later. The brain hates gaps. It fills them with the one who created them. Be careful and ethical with this power. You are not withholding affection to punish. You are orchestrating curiosity to amplify. You always follow through. Broken loops kill trust. Completed loops build anticipation for the next one. The moment you become predictable, her mind finds rest and you become optional. Never debate for dominance. Debate to sharpen. A masculine frame does not collapse under disagreement. It gets more curious and more precise. If she challenges a belief you hold, you thank her for the challenge, state your principle, and ground it in experience. If she wants to spar verbally, set boundaries with humor and return to substance. The frame is not, I must win. The frame is, I hold myself to standards. If you sharpen me, you're valuable. This reverses a dynamic that burns attraction, the fear of losing status. When you show you are unafraid to refine your views, you demonstrate leadership. Leadership is the cradle of trust, and trust is the permission slip for her more daring energy to show up around you. Now, address your appearance without turning into a mannequin. Grooming is respect for yourself, not a plea for attention. Choose textures that fit your build, silhouettes that frame your shoulders and taper your waist, and colors that echo your skin's temperature. Simplicity is superiority. One accent piece with a story beats 5 expensive logos. The point is not to peacock, it is to signal care. Care tells the truth. You value yourself. Women observe the micro-truths: nails, shoes, scent, the way fabric sits on your body, the way you move through a doorway without shrinking or puffing. Each detail whispers, I take myself seriously. The man who takes himself seriously can take her seriously. The one who doesn't gets friend-zoned and wonders why. Your voice is a carrier wave of dominance and warmth. Slow it down. Drop it slightly at the end of sentences to signal certainty. Speed up subtly when telling a vivid detail to spark emotion, then slow down again to let it land. Vary volume. Whisper in person when the point is intimate. Project when you set a boundary. Avoid rising inflections on statements. Rising inflections beg approval. If you have a habit of filling space with and like, replace those with breaths. Silence that is owned becomes power. Silence that is feared produces chatter. Chatter kills mystique. Focus now on the invisible signals she reads unconsciously. Mirroring is automatic when rapport builds, but you can pace and lead it. Pace by matching a small, non-threatening element of her rhythm, seated posture angle, speaking tempo, or hand placement. Then lead by changing yours slightly, slowing your tempo, straightening your spine, relaxing your shoulders, and see if she follows. If she does, you are leading. Leading is not controlling, it is inviting her nervous system into your calm. This is the attic where forbidden thoughts live. When her body trusts your calm, her mind asks, what would it feel like to surrender more here? That question is your victory. Invite self-expansion. Attraction research points to an underrated driver of romantic fixation. The sense that being with you expands her world. Not because you perform tricks, but because your curiosity is contagious. Be the man who opens doors to ideas, art, taste, adventure, and standards she rarely encounters. You don't brag about your range. You let it leak through specific references and surprising questions. You are not a trivia machine. You are a curator of experience. The curation creates a before and after effect in her mind. Before you, things were smaller. After you, the horizon widened. People replay the source of their expansion. Refuse the seduction sin of overinvestment too soon. Overinvestment announces scarcity. You balance intention with options. Intention means you are clear, you find her attractive, and you act on it. Options mean your life is full enough that you're never tempted to self-betray to keep someone around. Self-betrayal is the enemy of attraction. The moment you violate your standards to avoid losing her, you lose her. The moment you calmly enforce a boundary, even if it costs you a date, you plant a flag. Many men never plant one. Plant yours. When you do, something primal wakes up in her. respect. Respect is the root that feeds desire when novelty fades. Do not confuse kindness with pliability. Be generous, not accommodating. Generosity is offered from strength. Accommodation is offered from fear. When you are generous, you initiate without tallying points. When you are accommodating, you distort yourself and then resent her for accepting what you offered. She can feel the difference. The generous man is irresistible because he radiates abundance. The accommodating man feels sticky because his gift is a bill waiting to be paid. You are done sending invoices for your attention. You invest where there is reciprocity. Reciprocity is not immediate, it is directional. You read direction. If the arrow points toward shared effort, you proceed. If not, you release with grace. Bring in the power of non-sexual touch in appropriate contexts where it's welcome. The human nervous system encodes safety through consistent microsignals. A hand offered at a step, a brief touch on the back as you navigate a crowded space, a warm palm that says, "I'm here," and then you withdraw. Touch too soon, and you signal need. Avoid touch completely, and you signal distance. You want calibrated warmth. Warmth paired with boundaries is a paradox, and paradox is sticky. Sticky thoughts are the ones she revisits at midnight. Use environment as an extension of your frame. Environments communicate your taste more powerfully than self-descriptions. Choose places with texture, not noise. Texture invites conversation. Noise invites distraction. Choose lighting that flatters, seating that angles. 90 degrees is hostile. 45 degrees is intimate without pressure, and activities that give you both something to do with your hands to reduce self-consciousness. Coffee can be great if the cafe has design. A wine bar with quiet corners is better than a crowded club at the wrong phase. Walks that pass, places you can spontaneously explore, provide opportunities for micro-adventures. Micro-adventures become anchors, sensory cues that her mind uses to file you under exceptional. Reinforce your frame with clean boundaries around logistics. Be decisive. Offer 2 specific windows for plans and let her choose. When she chooses, confirm without over-explaining. When the day comes, show up 5 minutes early and look like you belong. End on a high note. Ending on a high note is retention psychology. The peak end rule says we remember the peak moment and the ending more than the average. Create a small peak, a moment of laughter, a surprise insight, a short, playful dare, and then end before the energy dies. Say you'll pick up that thread next time, and then you actually do. Reliability plus mystique is rocket fuel. Guard your digital presence with the same standards as real life. Messages are tools, not lifelines. Avoid pouring paragraphs into screens. Use texting to coordinate and to exchange a single vivid line that evokes a shared moment or a curious idea. If she sends something playful, match the energy and then pivot to a plan. If you feel the urge to fix a misunderstanding by writing an essay, stop. Real men clarify in real time. A short call beats 20 texts. Scheduling beats speculation. The more you feed the text box, the more the box eats your polarity. Take communication out of the trap and into your world. Train your eye for subtle invitations. Not all signals are fireworks. Some are featherlight, a half-second longer eye contact, a question tossed to you when others are around, a quick self-touch when you speak, a micro-smile after you tease. Receive the signal. Do not pounce. Increase intensity by a single click. If she tracks, you click again later. You are not climbing a ladder. You are dialing a knob. Ladders rush, knobs refine. Refinement is seductive because it proves you are listening. Most men are too loud to listen. You will be the quietest man in any room and the clearest. Quiet and clear is a dangerous combination. It sneaks past defenses. Keep one rebellious streak. You refuse the script of explain and plead. You believe in demonstrate and invite. Demonstrate standards by living them. Demonstrate taste by curating it. Demonstrate courage by having conversations others avoid with grace and humor. Invite her into that world without pressure. When you feel the impulse to chase reassurance, go do something hard. Train, build, study, lead. The masculine nervous system stabilizes under load. Build your capacity to carry load, and your presence thickens. Thick presence is what her forbidden side trusts enough to surface. Calibrate humor as a pressure valve. Humor reduces fear and releases dopamine. Both increase openness. But juvenile jokes break frame. Aim for unexpected analogies, deadpan timing, and self-awareness. Use humor to call out the scene you're both in, to lean into a shared observation, to lighten a tense moment without abandoning the tension entirely. Leaning too hard on humor to avoid sincerity kills romance. Pairing humor with sincerity keeps her guessing what comes next. Again, contrast. You are the man who can laugh and land a truth in the same breath. Develop your no. Your no is not loud, it is smooth. No to disrespect. No to last-minute cancellations without consequence. No to endless texting. No to testing games that waste both your time. When you say no, do it once and leave it there. The masculine no draws a clean line. The needy no draws a line and then erases it when approval is threatened. Every time you honor your no, you become heavier in her mind, and heaviness is gravitas. Gravitas anchors desire. Without it, you are a balloon. Bright for a moment, gone the next. Invite depth intentionally. Depth is not trauma dumping, it is substance. Talk about what makes a day meaningful for you. Talk about what you are optimizing for in your life. Talk about the tension between freedom and commitment and how you navigate it. Ask how she defines a day well lived. Ask what principle she refuses to bend. Ask what would make this year unforgettable and why. These questions aim at identity. Attraction that lives at the level of identity becomes obsession, because identity governs attention. If being with you feels like being more herself, you will occupy bandwidth whenever she's alone. Use micro-commitments. Micro-commitments are tiny asks that increase investment without pressure. Invite her opinion on 2 options and use her choice. Offer a split decision and let her take the lead for a moment. Ask her to hold one small boundary with you and praise it when she does. Each micro-commitment tells a story. We build together. Building together, even in miniature, activates the part of the brain that tracks ongoing projects. You become an ongoing project, and ongoing projects recur in thought. Respect the shadow. The Jungian lens says we all hide sides of ourselves that feel risky to reveal. You make it safe for her to bring light to those shadows without turning into her therapist. You do this by modeling shadow integration yourself. You admit your competitive edge without shame, your hunger for excellence without apology, your capacity for stillness and for intensity. The integrated man is neither sanitized nor chaotic. He is whole. Wholeness is felt. When a woman feels wholeness, she relaxes the self-protection that keeps her passions locked. Those passions do not awaken around niceness, they awaken around integrity. Stop performing certainty you don't have. Admit ignorance when you have it and take a position where you do. A man who can say, "I don't know, but I'll find out," earns trust. A man who pretends to know everything leaks insecurity. The forbidden side can smell insecurity dressed as arrogance from across a room. It turns her off because it signals you will break under pressure. You will not break. You will bend, reconsider, reassert, and continue. Continuation is seductive. Quitting to protect ego is not. Move with deliberateness in small motions. Put your glass down with intention. Turn your head slowly when interrupted. Walk at a pace that makes others adjust. Create tiny rituals of care. Cleaning your space before she arrives. Choosing music with texture rather than volume, knowing the staff at a place you frequent and greeting them with respect. She is always watching how you treat the world. If you handle small things with dignity, she imagines how you will handle big ones. Imagination is where her forbidden side tests scenarios. Give it material worth replaying. Reclaim your time horizon. Men who live in 24-hour windows act desperately. Extend your horizon to months and years and you become less impulsive, more magnetic. Your decisions reflect taste evolving over time, not cravings seeking relief. You will naturally slow the chase, raise your standards, and filter for alignment rather than excitement alone. Excitement without alignment burns hot and dies. Alignment without excitement stagnates. You combine both by being a man who is hard to get but easy to enjoy. Hard to get because you reject what dilutes you. Easy to enjoy because your presence is light and your leadership is firm. If you have built all of this, now add the exact behaviors that turn the key. When you see her, let your eyes lane switch. Meet, hold half a beat longer than polite, then release first. During conversation, occasionally glance at her lips when she's making a point, then return to her eyes, then to her hands. It's subtle, and it communicates awareness without begging. When you tease, let the last word hang and tilt your chin down a degree as you smile. When you challenge, keep your tone warm. When you appreciate, keep it specific and brief. When you set a boundary, keep it calm and final. When you end the interaction, end it a little earlier than she expects, with a promise of a future thread you will actually pick up. Each of these choices writes a line of code in her memory. Code runs long after the programmer leaves. Your life off stage must match your life on stage. Read, train, build, mentor, learn. Surround yourself with men who hold you to standards. Create a weekly cadence that steadies you. Planning, execution, reflection. Reduce digital junk. Increase embodied challenges. Pick a craft and climb. Nothing awakens the forbidden side of a woman like a man who is already alive before she arrives. She does not want to be your purpose. She wants to be with a man who has one. She does not want to be your oxygen. She wants to breathe easier in your presence. If you need her to feel complete, you will smother her. If you are complete, you will free her. In the end, what compels her to think about you is not a slogan, but the sum of consistent signals, a frame that doesn't flinch, a rhythm that plays with tension and release, a standard that welcomes but never begs, a curiosity that explores without invading, a generosity that gives without tallying, a body that moves slowly because the mind is unafraid, and a voice that says what it means and means what it says. Practice these until they are not acts, but extensions of who you are. The moment she feels that congruence, she will feel safe enough to be daring, and the moment she feels daring in your presence, the forbidden in her stops being forbidden and starts being magnetic. Do this, and you will not need to chase thoughts in her head. Her thoughts will chase you.